Okay, my head's bigger.
Hello, everybody out there. This is Sonia, and this is Uncharted Interactive. This is our fourth game out, and today we're going to be talking about the game Kingdom Rush. It's a tower defense game, free to play online. If you want to play, you can go to kingdomrush.com. And it's also available for the iPhone and the iPad. So I guess I'll start with our first question. What did you think about the level design? Go, Robert. Oh, and Robert and Tony. Sorry, I did not say that.
Robert. I liked the level design. I mean, visually it was very pleasant. You know, it wasn't like extravagant art, but it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Everything was easily readable, and when I was a little more comfortable with the game, I actually ended up paying a little more attention to the environments, and there were some really funny things. Like on some of the ice levels, there were like things frozen in the ice, you know, which was kind of a neat little twist. So that was fun to see. But overall, I liked them visually. Gameplay-wise, it was pretty fun. It was one of the first tower defense games I ever played where you were told where you could and could not build your towers. I mean, there's always limitations, but this one had like plots that you could only build things in. But that didn't seem to bother me too much because you had enough options. So for the most part, I really liked the maps, and they surprised me in some cases too.
What did you think, Tony?
So I liked it. I actually reminded me of Plants vs. Zombies a little bit. Just the graphics. I liked the simple design where like it just, I guess like most games, you just start off really simple and then you start getting more branches of the road to defend and everything. So. The level design I think was really well done for letting you learn how to play the game and sort of easing you into making it more complicated but easy enough to keep up with it. So I liked it.
They had it laid out pretty simple where they show you the point in which you have to defend, and they always have little pop-ups to tell you like the new things that you have to look out for. Like I particularly liked the levels with the mine shafts, where like some of the enemies can run into one and then run to the other. I think they had a little pop-up that showed you that, but I didn't really remember it, and then it like surprised me. I'm like, oh no, I need to put towers there if I didn't have enough money to put a tower there. I knew that I had to. I thought that was kind of interesting how they had all that movement in the levels, and everything seemed to be pretty laid out pretty well to where you could kind of anticipate that a little bit too. So that was good. So, I really like the level design. I think the only other like tower defense game I think I've ever played is probably Ninja Town, and I like the game, but I feel like the layout of these levels are more interesting than Ninja Town. I felt like everything felt really similar.
Yeah.
And this one felt a little bit different. So that's what I liked about that.
Yeah, it was weird. The actual layout of the maps weren't all that, like, you know, there were some choke points and there were some things that were more or less strategic, but for the most part it was kind of straightforward the way a lot of the maps flowed. Really, where I think it started to get interesting is when they had multiple entrances, and when they included, I think you mentioned the mine shafts where they could go in one side, come out another, and that really throw you off. And or just multiple paths that they could take. They could go left or right, and you're not sure which way they're going to go. So which way do you actually end up building? So yeah, it was kind of interesting in some cases, but I never felt like it was. I never felt like it got boring because of that. There was enough other things going on that it wasn't. I don't know. It was good. It was good.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
it looks like we're trying to get Tony back.
Yeah, he disconnected his camera. I just invited him back. I think he's back. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that.
I don't think I hear any feedback. Hey, Robert, talk.
I am now talking.
Okay, I don't hear anything. Okay.
Mhm.
Seems like it works.
I just hear it on my computer when you talk, Sonia. I hear it like echoing.
Do I
And
need
then
my headphones, maybe?
And then I see the green audio bar popping up under Tony's, so that's what I kind of figured it was his, but
Okay.
But I'm not talking. Do you hear it for me too?
no, you sound fine.
Huh. That's weird.
So I can hear
I guess
you.
we're okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't hear it that bad right now, so we'll see.
Maybe it was the reconnecting that helped out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I mean, we talk about level design, and then what did you think about character design? Mostly just, I guess, the enemies. That's really all you have, and your heroes too.
No, I just talked a bunch. What do you think, Tony?
Well, I liked the hero design. Well, I liked how strong the heroes were, but I was a little concerned. I guess maybe I didn't see it, but I didn't see any area where it showed you like each level, like how much stronger the hero got or what abilities he or she got.
Yeah.
That would have been nice to see.
There was a little, like the picture that you click on to activate your hero?
Yeah.
Well, it does show the level going up.
Yeah,
but
it does.
I don't think it notifies you if they get like any new abilities or anything.
Right, and I noticed that it did because like I was using the Ilaria Swiftwind, the female archer elf maybe, but yeah, like when she gained a level, she was able to shoot more than one arrow at a time, and then eventually she got a pet, I think at level 5.
Yeah,
so,
that was kind of a surprise for me. I'm like, wait, where did that come from?
Right.
Yeah,
so I mean, all those things were cool. I think it'd be even more awesome to like have a place where it shows you like the stuff that they gain when they get it, and then you be able to anticipate the stuff.
Yeah, I thought the characters were really neat. It's actually the first time I can remember actually playing a tower defense game where you have actual like characters and not just towers. The first one I tried was let's see, Malik Hammer Fury, and he was all about melee, and he had like this hammer smash and earthquake that would kind of stun everyone, and it worked out okay. And I switched over to the other one, Sir Gerald, I guess.
Yeah.
And used him for a little while, and they were pretty good. But honestly, like it costs you 15 stars to unlock them, and that meant I had to basically take all 15 stars out of the talent tree because it's the same currency. You either spend a star in a talent tree to improve your various turrets and things like that, or you spend it in for the hero. And at that time, I only had about 15 or 16 stars. So when I pulled everything out of the talent tree and put it into the hero, I felt greatly underpowered. So. Oh, and what was really bad is you can get your stars back when you put them into the like talent tree. You can take them back and reassign them. But as soon as you buy the hero, you're stuck with the hero. So I was a little bit cornered there with that. I didn't really have I couldn't really go back. But the heroes felt pretty good. I mean, I didn't try the archer.
Mhm.
Both the characters I did try were both melee characters. I thought they were going to be strong enough to keep a bunch of guys at bay, but they only ever really fought one person at a time. So, at least in terms of like controlling the enemy's movement, I felt like I did better with just a higher level, um, infantry, the little guys that just pop out and stand there and
Right.
kind of slow down monster progression. So I don't know. I really like the idea and I want to play around with it more, but I didn't feel like they made a big enough impact.
Yeah, I think it would have been nicer if they had it where you get to 15 stars, you get to use those stars for the upgrades, but then you also get to have a hero. So it's
Yeah,
kind
like
of
it
like
just
that's
unlocks
your
after you get
bonus for getting
stars.
the 15,
Yeah, yeah,
and that they wouldn't keep you to it where you have to keep the hero. Like you could get rid of it if you didn't like it or something.
yeah.
I didn't know you couldn't get rid of it. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
me
also
neither.
would have liked it if I don't know if you guys did it, but the two spells that you get, the fire and the reinforcements, those were
Hmm.
both assigned to your 1 and 2 key, which
Hmm.
made it really easy to just
Oh,
click on the hotkey and click with the mouse. You could do it really fast.
I wish I knew that.
Yeah. Uh, but I wish the hero was also part of a hotkey, and maybe it
Yeah.
is, but because I
Right.
felt like I would regularly have to click on them in order to move them, and if
Mhm.
I had a hotkey, it would have been nice. But that's a minor complaint.
I think that part of the difficulty of the hero versus like the upgrades for the towers is that you're focusing on trying to get your hero to do what you want it to do, and then you're also trying to upgrade your towers, and you're also trying to do your deploy your reinforcements and da da da, and then it kind of gets a little bit too much. But I mean, I managed it when I got used to it. But yeah, I wish there were hotkeys because I I didn't know that the other ones had the 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
now I'll know and I'll play better.
I mean, in terms of being engaged with everything, I really liked this game for how engaging it was, because a lot of tower defense games kind of bore me because you set up your towers and a lot of the time you just end up watching. And yeah, you get to occasionally upgrade stuff. Hopefully, some games you just sit and watch and hope that your towers do what they're supposed to do, and then you do all your management at the end. But in this, you were constantly managing. You were building and upgrading and changing the position of your soldiers and stuff like that. So and then of course using the reinforcements every 10 seconds. And the fireballs, and then eventually your hero. I felt like I was really engaged and a lot more was going on. Just overall, it was a really, so much more interesting.
I feel like that's what I had to get used to doing because of their tower defense games I've played. Like you said, you don't really have to watch and well, you watch, but you don't have to continue to do anything after you set up all your towers and all of your defenses and everything. So I had to get used to doing that, but actually I do like it better. It feels like you have more control. It feels like if you messed up and you put something somewhere where you should have put it somewhere else, you can fix it, and
Yeah.
you can have your reinforcements and stuff, and it doesn't feel like you're out of control. Like, oh no, I'm screwed. Like a million things got past this tower, and yeah. So
That's true. I wonder how you guys feel about the sort of an issue I had with the reinforcements and barracks soldiers is sometimes they wouldn't aggro together.
mhm.
I mean, in a way, that can make it more interactive because, like, you would just have to pick your barracks and rally point the guy over there, like, every time. But at the same time, it was a little frustrating for me when it's like, it's like the barracks guys fight some guys and then the reinforcement guys are just, like, standing there and not doing anything.
Yeah,
I,
I feel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Robert.
no, I was gonna say I think it had a lot to do with where um, the soldiers were positioned, whether or not they were from the little barracks or the reinforcements. Because I know that I would place a reinforcement group but it would be just a little bit behind the people that were running, and so it didn't get their attention, and they just stood there. So I just kind of learned to always put them a little bit ahead. I also learned that the reinforcements don't appear exactly how they are shown, but they appear where the arrow is, the little red arrow. So that kind of helped me a little bit, because that was just a little bit of a difference. But I didn't really have too much problem with it. You know, I also understood that the soldiers really only took people one-on-one. So they, you know, if there were 3 soldiers and, you know, 5 enemies, only 3 of them were going to stop to fight.
Yeah.
The other 2 were going to keep running.
They don't fight multiples.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I had too much trouble with it. I kind of just, I took my reinforcements and put them directly in the middle of everything. I don't know if that was the best way to do it, but they were attacking something.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't just standing there. Although occasionally they would disappear after a while. Like if you're waiting for the timer to tick down, and they would disappear. It's like, oh, now I have to put them out again. That's the only problem I ever had.
Yeah, well, I think that was probably by design, because it, you know, otherwise you can just keep placing more and more reinforcements, and it might get a little crazy.
Yeah.
They probably expire after a certain time.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't really talk too much about the character design myself, except for the heroes, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about the enemies. I like that there was such a variety, that there were some that, not just the way that they looked, but the fact that there were some that were resistant against magic, or some that had really high armor. Some were really tough, and some were like where, you know, I like the ones where the guy would come in and he'd like shoot out little things from himself, like the spiders would do that, or the ogres maybe would do that. And the Juggernaut would throw stuff too. So
that
one was tough, because it's like, oh, all these little things and this big, huge thing is here. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The look of them, I mean, they were really small, so it's kind of hard to sometimes tell the differences. But I thought that they were unique enough to be able to handle them. So.
Yeah, the variety of the enemies was really fun, just to see the difference. From like a gameplay perspective, I still felt like for the most part it was just like more firepower to better, because I felt like there wasn't I didn't feel like I had a lot of control, like in terms of the strategy of which towers I really like, where they were placed and stuff like that. I mean, for example, the first time the ogre was introduced, which, you know, is supposed to have a bunch of armor and all that stuff, first thing that crossed my mind was, oh, okay, well, I'm going to use the mage tower to burn their armor. And so the question I then started asking myself was, well, you know, should I be placing that up front? Should I be placing that in the back? You know, like, at what point should I be hitting them with that? And, you know, does it make a difference? You know, so I ended up putting the mage tower at the beginning so that it would hit the guy and burn their armor. I kind of recall that every time a mage tower hit something, it reduced its armor permanently. I think I remember reading that somewhere.
Depends on the enemy.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are magic resist.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Ogre it was. I don't know.
but in any case, I figured, okay, well, so maybe mage tower first to reduce their armor, and then when they leave the area of the mage tower, the other towers would take them down. But you know, I never really found any particular strategy to the order of the towers, other than making sure that there were barracks in place to hold enemies down for a while, so that your towers could shoot them.
Yeah.
But I guess my whole point was, you know, the variety of the enemies was neat, but I didn't feel like I had any real ability to build accordingly. You know, I just had to make sure I had a nice variety of towers, and I just kind of had to hope it would work, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, did you ever try doing those missions without mage towers? Because I sort of did, and it's a lot harder.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, I guess it's sort of
Never.
obvious to use the mage tower as like, oh, it ignores armor, but it's a real big difference. Like if you like, for me, I always like the archer towers and just do a lot of physical damage. But then when the armored guys came out and I didn't have a mage tower, it was like they were just walking by, they weren't getting hurt at all. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think the variety is sort of needed, but I could totally understand like if you just put that spread of just having sort of one of everything, then
Hmm.
you're good, and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like you need to strategize any deeper than that. Um,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense.
I just,
Yeah, I guess it had to do with the synergy of everything. Like I wasn't sure how things would synergize beyond just like putting barracks next to other damage dealing things to keep people in place for a while, you know.
Right.
Other than that, I wasn't sure if it was like, you know, to what I was saying, like, if the mage tower reduces armor permanently every time it hits someone and not just ignore it, then that would lead me to believe that putting mage towers up front would be better because it would reduce their armor so that when they get to the archer towers, it would do more damage.
right.
Yeah.
And also like the cannon towers, the ones that shot like area effect. I
Hmm.
was never quite sure when the best use for that thing was. I mean, I kind of figured it was in areas where people would be hanging out for a while,
Right.
so they'd be getting constantly all of them would be getting hit. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
The only strategy that I used, I guess, if it's not really, I don't know if it's the best strategy, but like what you said about doing the barracks and holding the enemies there for a while, and then behind it layering, like archers and then mages, so they
Yeah.
could attack while they keep them there. I found that to be pretty easy.
Hmm.
As far as like the big bomb one, I just kind of put that in the middle. I just figured, well, if they get that far, then at least I have this big old bomb that's coming down on them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the best way to do it.
The other thing I thought was I don't know if it was necessarily the best strategy or not, but I tend to put the big cannons at the very front, and because when they spawned onto the battlefield, they all kind of came out at once in a kind of a group. So I thought it might not be a bad idea to put it at the front when everything's coming out together to get a couple of hits on everything. And that worked okay in a couple cases, but yeah, I don't know. It was kind of hard to say. It's one of those things I think you'd have to play a couple of times, and actually probably what would have made it even more helpful is if there were just some enemies that you know were like weak but many. Like it worked really well with like the little spiderlings, right? Because there was a bunch of them and they were really fast, but they were really weak. So one cannon shot would actually take out a bunch, and that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never found a real solid use for the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
tower was kind of tough. Just like I tended to use it first just because it was like, ooh, area splash damage.
Yeah.
It just shoots so slow that it tended to, like, if it wasn't hitting a lot of people, it tended to not be worth it because
Yeah.
it takes so long that other guys would just get past if they were streaming in one at a time.
Mhm.
I only ever had one of those. I just would have like literally one. Plus, they were more expensive, especially with the upgrades.
Yeah.
I mean, on the first upgrade, it's like, gosh, like twice as much as the other ones. So it
Mhm.
takes a long time to get it. So I don't know. It's. I felt like just one was good enough for that. And like we were saying, Tony, you were saying like sometimes the enemies were too quick or you couldn't catch them all. there were those what it was, like frost wolves or ice wolves or something like that. They
Yeah.
ran really fast,
Hmm.
and that thing was just completely useless against them.
Yeah.
You really have to have like mages and archers to get the upgrades on those to get those guys because nothing was really quick enough, and you had to stop them with your ground troops, else you couldn't really get them.
Yeah. Regarding the upgrades, I actually really enjoyed the upgrades in this game. Because not only were there like, at least 5 levels for.
And you're like,
Hello.
your blanket's alive.
Yeah.
It not only was there at least 5 levels for every tower. I think it was 5. And they kept giving you new ones. They also at one point let you choose to like build one way or another. Like and then there was even some where you could put multiple points into one side or the other. I don't remember all of them, but
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. And I actually would love. I would have like. It was fun. Which actually leads me to another thing. I was never quite sure if it was better to have a lot of lower level towers or a handful of really high level towers. I'm not sure what you guys think. I think this dog wants out. I'll be back.
Okay, well, I'll start. On the lower, the earlier levels, I felt like saturation was really good. I don't know. I think it is good the whole time to have all of your stuff filled in before you start upgrading, because as soon as the enemies start to come in from different directions, it's like, well, then all of a sudden they're all the way over there because there was no towers there to defend it. So that's what I kind of did it, where I would get all my towers and then I would start to upgrade them. And I actually had enough money to upgrade at some point almost every single tower later on in the levels, especially with that upgrade that allows you to get more money faster. I think that made it so much easier, and I could just keep upgrading, and it wasn't a big deal.
Oh,
So I
didn't
felt
even see
like
that one.
filling it in and then upgrading was kind of what I felt worked for me.
I would have liked to have seen some towers that were, I guess, more utility or even economy based. Like it would have been neat if you could have built in some of the slots that you just didn't use, like a mine, just as an example, right? That would give you maybe a little more money, but at the cost of, having an offensive structure. Or even building a tower that, like, I don't know, would do some other kind of, maybe it would reduce the cooldown of your spells. I mean, I guess the talent tree did that stuff, but I don't know. I guess there were some cases where it would have been kind of neat to build something that wasn't just offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense because like I started with building a few towers and upgrading them and stuff, but I mean I think like Sonia said, it seems like the best strategy is to fill out those spots as soon as possible because it just allows the enemies to get hit throughout the whole map. And I think if what you were saying, Robert, was in there, then that would be a more complex decision. Then you'd be like, okay, well then I could use these later spots to put this mine here or something.
Yeah.
Because it seems like right now the most efficient strategy is probably to build all the low or the early buildings first. Yeah.
Let's see. What did you think of the music and sound effects? I guess the last on the whole design aspect of the game. The last thing I can think of, besides the specifics like the upgrades and stuff. But what do you think about the music and the sound effects?
I thought all the music and the sound effects were all pretty simple. There wasn't anything really spectacular about any of it, but it all just seemed to kind of work. Like it wasn't intrusive. It didn't really get in the way and I think it added just enough that it was, it was just simple. It was really simple. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on, so having a big epic score or really chaotic sound effects might have been, just too much.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it was, just a pretty fun thing, and the actual, what is it? There are some sound effects that just crack me up. I want to put them on my phone.
Like reinforce and two battle.
Reinforce.
I forgot, what do the archers say when you put an archer tower up? Oh, I can't remember what they say. It always made me laugh. I can't think of it right now.
Well, let's see if I can turn these.
But yeah, the music's pretty good. But yeah, the sound effects, they kind of make me laugh a little bit, especially when they're talking. It kind of gets you a little excited about it because you're like, oh look, it's a little tower like said this. So
yeah,
I kind of like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I think some of the monsters made noises too, and that was kind of interesting. I kind of wish, I don't know, maybe more growling or something from some of the creatures or something like that.
Some of the creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the game running now, and I have the sound effects on, so I don't know if you can hear it. Of course, they're all.
What does it say when you put up the archer tower?
I don't remember.
They sound British to me.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the classic medieval accent.
Yeah. I think that's so funny. So that's the go-to for all fantasy is this British.
Okay, I just found out it's Archer's Ready.
Archer's Ready, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, Archer's Ready.
Yeah. Yeah, they all have
They
those
say it.
accents.
Yeah, I still think I was pretty obsessed with reinforce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you upgraded them too, they all said something.
Oh no!
Are you doing it now? Are you failing?
Yes, I am failing miserably. Go shoot him! Bullseye!
So, we probably talked about this a lot, but what did you think about the gameplay mechanics?
Freedom!
I guess we sort of talked about the upgrades a little bit, but I liked it a lot. It gave a lot of variety to the game. I mean, we talked about how you can have, maybe the best strategy is to fill out all of the spots with cheap buildings first, but then the next question is, do you upgrade things evenly, or do you get a really strong tower in the middle and give all these different abilities? Because they just had so many upgrades that you started giving different abilities to a tower or a barracks or something, and you could even keep upgrading that same ability. Poison will do 5 damage a second, and then you upgrade it again, it does 10 damage a second. So it just gave you sort of unlimited possibilities, and I like that aspect a lot.
Yeah, I liked with the towers. Sometimes I would just upgrade it to a different type of tower just to see what it would do, because I just wanted to have it. I just wanted that variety. When the archer tower gets to a point where it's you could pick the supreme archers, or you could pick the musketeers, and I thought, well, the musketeers sound more interesting because they have guns, and that's different than the bows. So I thought it was kind of weird though that they went from archers to guns. All of a sudden they're just let's kick out the archers and just bring in the musketeers. What happened to those guys? I don't know. That's kind of strange to me, but I liked just choosing different ones. And there was another one where you could pick the barbarians, or I don't know what the other one was, but I liked the barbarians because they throw axes, and there were some monsters that would throw axes too, so that was kind of interesting.
Those were some of the hardest. Some of the most frustrating guys were the little enemy archers that would sit there and shoot at my soldiers, and the soldiers wouldn't do anything. They would stand there, and I'm like, no, I gotta move. I guess I could have.
We're melee. We're right in here. We're not going over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they're like shadow archers, like they're supposed to be hiding or hard to find or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a little awkward when they're like out in the open, just like killing your soldiers, and they're just standing there until they get an arrow to the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice to have the hero, the archer, because she would
Mm.
attack them, and you could put her a little bit behind everybody so that she would attack through them to those stupid archers on the ground. So it's like somebody's doing something. Or you could just use. I like to use the rain of fire on them.
Yeah. Who battle?
Uh-oh, Sonia, did you crash?
Uh-oh, did we lose Sonia?
Possibly.
We
Time
will
to play more Kingdom Rush.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to play more.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm about to lose.
Well, that's good. That means the game isn't too easy.
Yeah. Well,
Should we still talk a little bit?
yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Nice.
I guess like a couple of the things, like the Rain of Fire only was pretty limited in helping because the cooldown was so long. But like the Reinforce and the Hero especially, I liked to like in tower defense games, a lot of them, like if the enemies get past a certain point, you're like, no, I'm screwed.